Despite what you may have been told by your fourth grade public school teacher, separation of church and state is nowhere to be found in the United States Constitution, nor is...
Nah, that's a script that was given to you by the Gateway Pundit, but it's important to understand constitutional law before talking about it. So let's make a few things clear. While the words separation of church and state do not appear in the Constitution, that doesn't mean that the meaning isn't there. The Establishment Clause does essentially two things. Number one, it prohibits the state from establishing an official religion or endorsing one religion versus another. And number two, it prohibits the state from regulating the exercise of a religion in a manner that favors one religion versus others. If the point of this video is to prove that the Constitution doesn't contain the words separation of church and state in its text, then congratulations, you know how to read words in English. But if the point of the video is to suggest that the Constitution does not prohibit an undue involvement of state action within religious activities, then I suggest a remedial course in common law. Case law on the Establishment Clause makes it clear that the Constitution wants to ensure that the state does not favor one religion versus another and does not favor religion versus, say, atheism or agnosticism. That's what the Establishment Clause protects, the right to believe and celebrate just as much as the right to not believe and stay home. For example, in cases like Allegheny County versus ACLU, the Supreme Court established that certain religious display in courtrooms do violate the Establishment Clause. But the Supreme Court also made it clear that as long as the state is not the organizer or the sponsor of that activity, then private citizens can do whatever they want on public grounds. Students can assemble to pray as long as the school is not the organizer. But then our friend confuses things even more by saying this.
So many people actually believe that our Constitution somehow prohibits the church from being involved in politics.
What? Nobody's saying that. Nobody believes that the Constitution says that churches cannot engage in political activity. But the law says that. The law says that any nonprofit organization cannot engage in political activity and keep their 501c3 status. And that includes churches. And it's been so since 1953, since this law that's called the Johnson Amendment. And finally, our friend Victor closes with this gem.
Correctly understood, separation of church and state protects the church from the state.
First of all, I thought you said separation of church and state wasn't a constitutional thing. And no, the Establishment Clause doesn't just protect churches against state action. It also ensures that the state doesn't favor one religion or imposes a religion. To ignore that means ignoring almost a century of case law. The Establishment Clause doesn't just allow freedom of religion, it also ensures freedom from religion. Separation of church and state is a thing that not only protects churches from state action, but also protects private citizens from religious imposition. Nobody is taking away the rights to pray in public school, and nobody is coming for anyone's Bible, even if it was purchased from a former TV show host to pay for his legal bills.